Sweetpea.
Come over.
We are back.
We
It's
are.
Gardener's World 2026. Can you Adam and Eve it?
Can I add?
We're bringing all the gardening vibes, as you kids would say.
Yeah, even though you are more down with the kids than I am, as we all know.
I am down with the youth. So we've obviously been doing our bonus episodes in between last year's Gardener's World.
We have. We've still been here.
We had last week off, but we did miss a couple of milestones, a couple of special days that happen in March.
Already?
Yes,
In 1 week?
already in 1 week.
Gosh, we missed a lot in a week.
We missed International Women's Day, which is on the 8th of March.
Yes, that's
So,
an obvious yes.
Happy Women's
Very
Day
important.
to women
Around the world.
all over the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And also Mother's Day, certainly British Mother's Day, because I know that we've got a few listeners in the US, Australia and other parts of the world, and I think Mother's Day is different all over the place, isn't it?
It does change. It's quite unfortunate. I feel like it should be just one great celebration. Other
International
than it
Mother's Day. it should be.
Yeah, exactly. That would be far better.
Anyway, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there.
Yes,
From
Mother's Day.
Sweetpea and Bear.
Mhm.
But also, I do have a little bit of housekeeping from our last episode, Sweetpea. Housekeeping already.
Already. I thought that on the first one of the new series we could at least get past housekeeping, but we didn't even get
No,
there.
we're going to have some housekeeping. But before we get onto that, how have you been?
Oh, I'm quite stressed at the moment.
Aw.
I'm going to admit it. I am in the middle of my 2 weeks revision for my second semester exams, which are really big.
Yeah.
And very stressful. And today has been a difficult day because on top of that stress, some busybody decided to add a whole load of extra stress onto my mind because I had lost my there's a student card thing for the university. And
Well,
I had
therein
lost
lies
it.
the problem, Sweetpea, is the buck stops with you because you lost it in the first place.
No, but it wasn't my fault.
No, you just lost it.
It just ran away. Okay, it wasn't my fault. I'm really good with keeping my kind of stuff together. Otherwise,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So
Anyways,
you lost your student
I
card
lost
and
my
you've got a
student
job's
card.
worth causing you
Anyway, so
a
I
lot
went
of
to the
grief.
administration board and I was like, hello, this is all via email. Hello. I'm really sorry, but I have lost my student card. My exams are coming up and I need it for the exam. I'm not going to be here throughout the week because I'm at home, but I am coming back next weekend anyways. I said a whole lot of times that I'll be back. And I said, also really sorry because you might get 2 emails from me. So sorry about that.
Aw, so really
Came back-
polite.
Really polite, kind regards, me. And then they came back an hour later with, the office is open at these times. We are not open when you are back. And that was it. And I was like, okay, could I come at this time? And I give another time. And she said, you'll need your card for the exam, but if not, you can just get your uni certificate. And I was like, but you haven't asked
Well, that wasn't
you
my
haven't responded
question.
to me. And I sent another email saying, but what about this time? I can come this time and it seems that you're open, usually. And no response. They're ghosting me now.
So it goes
And I'm
to
just
you.
like, why? Why
Yeah.
are you doing that to me? I've been so polite.
I think it's an important lesson to learn at an early age where sometimes you can be just so nice and polite and you don't get the response you hope for.
It was just really
And
sad.
I think you have to get used to that. You're going to come across it a lot in life,
Sure.
Sweetpea.
Yeah.
But continue being nice and polite, but be assertive and get the
Yeah.
answers you need and eyeball them when you see them politely.
Oh, I'm going to eyeball them. They're going to get my eyeballs.
They're going to get your eyeballs. Yeah, it's difficult because they also know that you're in the middle of this really fraught time with your
Yeah.
exams and they're just
The
not making
last
your life
week.
easy, are they? But anyway,
No, they're
you'll get
not.
it sorted and you'll look
I
back
will
and
get it
laugh
sorted. Yeah,
at some point.
exactly.
And you've had a nicer subject. You've had a bit of a mooch around the garden, haven't you?
Oh, that has been lovely. Just been kind of going for nice walks in the morning. So it's so much nicer to be back here for my revision weeks. It's just, yeah, it's far better.
You're getting fresh air to start your day, which is important.
Yeah.
Lots of good, nutritious food, plenty of sleep.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah,
And
it's
you're gonna
very
hit
good.
those exams, whammo,
Yeah.
come out the other
exactly.
end.
Yeah.
Life's good. And then I've got a lot of gardening jobs for you to do.
Oh, I know, because you've been telling me after these exams, oh my gosh. And I'm like, Mummy, just give me a day. Anyways, enough about me. How have you been getting on?
Well, I'm all right. I'm not as stressed as you, I don't think. I'm just sort of stressed vicariously through you. But in terms of the garden, life's good out there. It's spring, very much spring.
So
we have just, this is my favourite time of year, I'd say. Well, one of my favourite times of year. But we have...
you see that. Then it changes season. You're like, I love this season.
Exactly. But we have our daffodil bank that's sprung into action. We have all sorts of daffodils in there. All those mad daffodils that we just sort of blindfolded ourselves and put a pen down on the page of the catalogue.
Yeah, the one that
to get.
I think is called something like Princess Peach or something like that.
We've got
really
the Princess
gorgeous.
Peach, that's the scrambled egg type one. We've got the little Jetfire ones. It's just gorgeous. They make me smile, and I'm going to get loads more. I've decided they're going to go everywhere. After our Chit-Chats, we've had a few people who on our Chit-Chats have been doing meadows, and they talk about putting narcissi in their meadows. And that hadn't even crossed my mind, but it's a no-brainer. So that shall be occurring this year.
Great.
And then our tulips are coming up. We have our first red tulips springing into flower, and we have all the beautiful hyacinths, and we have a dog who goes and steams through the beautiful hyacinths. So it means I have a lot of broken off hyacinths. It's a good excuse, though, to bring them into the house, because it's always hard to cut them off and bring them in when they look so beautiful outside.
But when the dog just smashes through them, like, she's picked me a vase of flowers. She's picked me a bunch.
So those are all dotted around the house and making the house smell glorious. We have our incredible asparagus, which we're so chuffed with. I think we've got one that looks like something you'd buy from the shop. We've got another.
Two. We've got two like that.
Okay. And then we've got a few skinny, spindly ones, but they look like asparagus, but just very skinny.
Yeah. They need another year, I think.
Yeah, but amazing. And that was a shock, because we'd kind of forgotten about them, hadn't we? And there were quite a few weeds in that bed. And then there they are. They've all appeared. So very pleased with those.
They really do just shoot out up of nowhere. And you're just like, what?
They really do. And also a purple sprouting broccoli seems to have...
Yes. That's self-seeded from the plant. It just kind of hopped over the bed.
So we've got that to look forward to. Mm-hmm. In the pond, it's very busy. We have a lot of frog spawn. We have newts. And we had thought that because we had newts, we wouldn't have frogs, but we seem to have it all happening.
Yeah,
and
huge
a
thing
lot
popped
of
in
pond
the other day.
snails, and also what looked like a lot of toad poo. But I don't know what it was. I fished it out. It was about the size of a volleyball.
It was absolutely huge. And when I said to you the other day, is that a toad poo? You were like, oh my gosh, if that's toad poo, I'd be running for the hills to see how big the toad is.
Do not want to see the toad. But I wonder if it all just kind of congregates. Anyway, I fished it out with the net. And as I fished it out there and dolloped it on the side, there was a newt in it. So I then had to put my hand into the toad poo to pick out the newt, and it squeaked at me. This newt squeaked, and I plopped him back in the pond. He seemed fine though. He swam happily.
Thing squeaked at you. That's so cute.
And we've had a couple of first mows of the lawn, so all good. Happy times in the garden. And my seed snails are coming along nicely.
Oh my gosh, they're amazing.
These are courtesy of Farida Soba, who gave us the idea. And oh my gosh, if you look at her page on Instagram, she is flying with the seed snails.
Yeah, and lots of other things.
Everything.
Yeah. She grows so much, and it's like there's so much of everything. It's just amazing.
It's abundant. And I think if ever there was a year to really get your self-sufficiency on, it's this year, because we do not know what's happening politically, and it's a little bit of a worry. So I'm really doing my seed snails, with full energy.
Yeah.
But also someone else who's got into the seed snail game is Adverley Richmond. She has posted on her Instagram that she's tried and tested it and loving it. So for Rita, my gosh, you're putting the word out there for sure.
The word is spreading.
Now, Sweetpea, about that housekeeping.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember you were telling us about Sonic Hedgehog protein?
Yes.
And we were wondering about the name, where the name came from, if it was, what came first, chicken or egg?
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of information on that. I don't know if it's going to be useful for any of your exams, but just so you know.
I hope it is.
This is on the Wikipedia page. It talks about two of the genes, the desert hedgehog and the Indian hedgehog, which I think you mentioned.
I said about Indian, yes.
And they were named for species of hedgehogs, while Sonic Hedgehog was named after the video game character Sonic the Hedgehog. The gene was named by Robert Riddle, a postdoctoral fellow at the Tabin Lab, after his wife Betsy Wilder came home with a magazine containing an advert for the first game in the series, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Interesting.
So Sonic the Hedgehog came first, the protein second.
Yeah. I mean, it's all great naming proteins like that. But when you're a med student doing your exams, you can't quite remember what Sonic Protein Hedgehog thing was, because what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have some which kind of give you an idea of what it does.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, aha, it's helpful. Sonic Hedgehog, no clue.
Doesn't help.
No. So I've got to go relearn that.
Oh, gosh. I'm sorry. I hoped this might help, but
it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Well, Sweetpea, this should cheer you up, although not necessarily help with the Sonic Hedgehog sitch.
Oh.
But we have some very good news about Martin Dohrn.
Ooh.
Now, Martin Dohrn is the natural history filmmaker who was on Gardener's World 2025, episode 11. Yes. When the team came and filmed in his amazing wildlife garden somewhere near Bristol. And he talked on that Gardener's World episode about the importance of keeping lots of variety in the garden, for the bees. So
exactly. Not mowing.
Not mowing was an important one. Not necessarily pulling up your weeds, as so many flowers that we see as a problem actually are really beneficial to our native bees. He was also down
landmarks as well for the bees.
Oh yes,
very important.
That was it. And he was lying down on his belly, wasn't he, showing that if you pulled up that dandelion, then the bee isn't going to find its burrow again.
Yeah, exactly. Which just makes you really sad.
That's all really sad. Yeah. And we found out that he had made an award-winning film called My Garden of 1,000 Bees. I think he touched on it briefly, perhaps, on that episode, but we then had Martin on for a chit-chat with us. He was on episode 39.
Yes,
and
we did.
We got to hear a lot more about that film,
Which
Garden
was great.
of 1,000 Bees. Yeah. It was fantastic, wasn't it? Firstly, some of the intricacies of how he filmed it, and because he's got these little minuscule subjects that he's chasing around his garden.
Fascinating. Yeah.
And how he built up really quite a relationship with these bees.
I know.
That was beautiful, wasn't it?
It was gorgeous.
But another thing we heard about was the real struggle that he was having with getting it onto UK screens, because whilst we couldn't get it here in the motherland, it was available in a number of other countries around the world, wasn't it? So it made zero sense whatsoever.
I know. Completely bizarre.
And we heard a bit of Martin's frustration on that chit-chat. So I was so thrilled when I found out, I think last week, that he has just some superb news. That film is going to be available on Wednesday, the 25th of March. So a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, good.
On BBC 4. It'll be on at 8 p.m. on BBC 4. And if you miss it at 8 p.m. BBC 4, it will be on iPlayer thereafter. So just absolutely wonderful.
That's great.
News.
Because then I can watch it easily if it's on BBC iPlayer afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And
perfect.
As if that's not enough, Sweetpea, do you remember he was also talking to us about his latest film, which I think was released last year, called The Birds?
Yes. Yeah, well, that was interesting filming that. He was talking talked to us about it.
Exactly. We heard a little bit more about that. He held his cards a bit closer to his chest with
that
one, because it hadn't quite been released yet. Well, again, an award-winning film. And also, I seem to recall we talked about the struggle of getting that onto UK screens as well.
Yeah.
But as if by magic, that's also going to be on our TVs.
Oh my gosh.
So happy about this. Now, this one we haven't seen. We have seen My Garden of 1,000 Bees, and we were blown away by it. It did make us cry.
Yeah, yes. I mean, it did make us cry. It was very emotional.
It was very emotional, yes.
I mean, we're emotional.
We are fairly emotional, aren't we? But we don't want to spoil that film too much. Anyway, The Birds is his new film. That is going to be available this week. So this week on Wednesday, the 18th. At 8 p.m. again on BBC4. So you can see it at 8 p.m. BBC4 this Wednesday, the 18th. And again, if you miss it, it will be on iPlayer thereafter. So
great. So I'll be able to see that on iPlayer then.
Superb news. You'll be able to see that on iPlayer too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, you have a lot of revision to do, so we're probably going to have a slightly shorter episode than normal today.
Yes, unfortunately so. But don't worry, I will be back in the game after
You'll be back
exams.
in the game, the gardening game.
Yeah.
So shall we have a look at some No Way news?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm doing one piece of No Way news for you this week, Sweetpea.
Okey-dokes.
This is about a tree that grows in the tropics and it kills birds.
What?
Have you heard of this?
Oh, no.
It's called the Personia tree. And Personia trees disperse their seeds by, well, anything really. They produce seeds which are covered in this really, really, really sticky resin. And they also have little hooks around the outside of the seed.
Ooh.
So it sticks to anything that comes in contact. And the most helpful dispersers of said seeds are birds, because if they stick to the birds then fly off to another island in the tropics.
Great. Yeah.
And then the stickiness starts to wane with all the salt air. And then they drop to the ground, and there we go. The seeds have been dispersed far and wide.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the Personia's evolutionary history, something has gone horribly wrong, because instead of using the birds to disperse their seeds for pollinating purposes, they are ending up killing a large number of birds, because the sticky resin is so successful and the little hooks so successful, and they have so many of these seeds that often birds can be laden down by them and they can't get off the ground. So they either die of starvation or they get attacked by predators or scavengers.
Oh, that's awful.
I know, isn't that just horrific? And these seeds, they grow in these kind of gnarly bunches, and you get around anything from 12 to 200 seeds at a time.
How big are we talking?
I would say, from the photos I've seen, it looks to be about an inch, would you say? Sort of 2 centimetres.
Wow. That's
that kind of size.
Not nice.
Not nice. So these are all just whacked onto the side of a bird. But the difficulty is that seabirds seem to love using Personias for nesting in. And so everything can be absolutely fine. They're nesting in the Personia tree. It's all lovely. But the Personias will flower twice a year, and the 2 times a year that they flower happens to coincide. Well, I say happens, it sort of evolutionarily coincides with when the seabirds are most active and when there's kind of peak seabird traffic. And so the seabirds, they're in the Personias, they're nesting, everything's great. Then if you imagine their little young ones hatch, and they have little fledglings, and then they get stuck with a whole load of seeds, and of course they haven't got the strength yet, so it's curtains for the little babies.
Awful.
Not nice at all.
No.
So a study was conducted on this problem, and first of all, a study was conducted looking at the seabird population, because on Cousin Island specifically in the Seychelles, and it was revealed that the Personia tree was killing a quarter of white terns and nearly a tenth of tropical shearwaters via this process. So scientists wondered if there was any evolutionary benefit to the tree, and it was thought, similar to the Poya chilensis, that the tree gets an increase in nutrients from the decomposed birds.
I was wondering when you were saying about the story whether the seeds would germinate better if there was rotting flesh around them. I don't know if that's a possibility.
So that was their first hypothesis.
Yeah.
But there's an ecologist, Alan Berger, at the University of Victoria, and he found no evidence of that at all. And in fact, he found that the trees receive far more fertilizer from the birds' droppings and fallen eggs. So it benefited the tree much more if the birds were alive than if they were dead. So then Berger tried putting Personia seeds into seawater, because he thought that maybe it was so that if the bird died, it would get washed up onto other islands, and maybe that's how the tree was having its seeds dispersed.
Okay.
But he found that the sort of stickiness of the resin really degraded very rapidly, and so it just basically the seeds all died. So that certainly wasn't true.
Oh.
So really, they don't have any idea why this is happening. It's of no benefit to the tree, from what they can tell so far. But what they're having to do is they're culling the number of Personia trees, or they are keeping Personias in certain areas, keeping them away off the sort of migration path of these seabirds. The problem is, though, that seabirds do seek out Personia specifically. They really like to nest in them. So, yeah, they're kind of between a rock and a hard place.
Is someone blackmailing?
Blackmailing
I don't know. Is there some
the tree?
The tree to kill all of its kind of all the birds around it. I don't know. I'm thinking, like, is there something else which needs the tree but needs the birds to be dead? I don't know if there's like a second link. It's not a direct link.
Yes, yeah. Oh, interesting. I wonder. Anyway, I don't think you should worry about that right now. You've got other things to think about. But I will put a link to that story, Sweetpea. So when you finished your exams, have a look on our website, and all the details are in there with photos of very sticky looking birds.
Very interesting.
Poor things. Anyway, Sweetpea, do you have a plant fun fact for me this week?
Oh my gosh, I sure do. Mine is quite interesting. A very short one. Have you ever heard of the plant coxcomb?
No, I haven't.
First of all, very cool name.
Very cool name.
But it is also called Celosia argentea, and it's specifically the variety cristata.
Right.
Because this plant kind of has this really bushy and dense brain-like flowers, also nicknamed wallflowers or brain celosia.
Or like a coxcomb.
Yeah, that could be maybe like one ruffle of it, but it's like a whole load of them put together really densely.
Like a brain.
Like a brain. It's exactly like a brain. Anyways, even though it looks really rather unsettling sometimes, but very pretty at the same time, it does actually have a rich history of being used in traditional medicine.
All right.
And has been kind of used to treat headaches or menstrual cramps. So anything kind of in those areas, it has been used to do. I don't know specifically, but I think that was quite cool that it looks like a brain. And then
it helps your brain.
And it helps your brain as well. And then also, if you look at the variety plumosa, as said by its name, it has these huge plumes of kind of inflorescence.
Yeah.
And it looks absolutely extraordinary because there's so many varied colours and looks stunning.
Well, I've just Googled it, Sweetpea, and I wonder if that's the plant that... I think we've seen this plant at the garden centre or at supermarkets or places like that with all the different colours that they almost look fake, don't they?
Yes.
And it's kind of this fake-looking feathery thing on top of the plant.
Yeah, and one almost just kind of walks past it going, oh, that's just kind of quite
dismisses
a brash, non-plant kind of thing.
Oh, well, what an interesting plant.
Yeah, I thought it was very cool. And then finally for your animal fun fact, what have you got?
Well, this is a story with a twist about the goodest boy ever. So you know how I grew up with Newfoundland dogs?
Yes.
And you know how I used to swim with them in the river, or if I was rowing, they would always want to jump in and save me because it's just their instinct. They want to save you from the water, which is absolutely fine if you are drowning. But if you're also just bobbing around the river trying to cool down on a hot summer's day, it's like, really annoying to be dragged to the bank.
You're like, please stop it.
Gorgeous dogs. They got webbed feet. They're amazing. Best dogs ever.
Incredible. Yeah.
Well, in 1908, a Newfie was rewarded for rescuing a drowning child in the Seine just outside Paris.
Oh, yes.
So the dog heard the child's screams and leapt over hedges and over walls. I don't think it went over walls, but over hedges, dived into the river and rescued the child. And of course, he was rewarded with a nice hearty steak afterwards for being such a good boy. And then 2 days later, just in an incredible stroke of luck, another child had fallen into the Seine, and this Newfie,
what are these children doing?
Exactly, came charging along and jumped through hedges and over walls and through fires.
You're really adding
sailed
a lot
across
to the
oceans. and saved the child from the river again. And he was given a nice yummy steak again.
Mm-hmm.
And then a pattern started to emerge. Children were just plopping into the river all over the shop. And there was a lot of question. Was there just there was some sort of dodgy geezer about the place?
Serial
shover.
Serial shover.
Just shoving them into the river. And thankfully, this Newfie was around and was rescuing them left, right and centre. But they decided to set up some surveillance to catch the criminal in the act. Because obviously, great if the dog's there. But what are you going to do if the Newfie is on holiday?
Yeah.
Anyway, eventually, the perpetrator was caught. And it was, in fact, the Newfie himself.
I thought this was coming.
So this Newfoundland dog had realised he was getting rewarded royally with beautiful steak each time, and he rather intelligently connected the dots. So this is a lesson in dog training and how you reward your dog.
He was pushing kids into
He was going along the bank, shoving them in and then rescuing them, and then going over to get his piece of steak.
Oh my gosh. That's... I mean, that dog has brains.
Real brains. All
brains.
Dogs have brains. They pretend not to, just to get their way. And it works.
They pretend they're stupid sometimes.
Well, Sweetpea, we must get on. We've got a whole episode of Gardener's World to have a look at.
We sure do.
So, shall we get started?
Absolutely.
This is Gardener's World 2026, Episode 1, Recap.
Off we go. So we're back at Longmeadow with Monty.
We are.
And
great to see.
It's a gorgeous morning there.
Yes. And he talks, I love it. He starts in my notes. The first thing I've written is long, wet and grey winter.
Oh, yes.
Because he mentioned that, but he says now the garden's bursting into spring.
It is.
And we see some of the bulbs. What did he say? They were wild narcissi that he planted
25 years ago.
25 years ago, and some crocuses as well. And also, did you notice a very, very different start? Normally we have Monty saying, hello and welcome to Gardener's World. We get a bit of him, and then he says, here's what's coming up. Yeah. And then there's the Gardener's World music. Yeah. That's it. Laid underneath it, we see what's coming up in the show, and then that lovely title. Yeah. And then we're into the show. But there was none of that. It was just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. We were straight in.
We were. It was quite fun. It was like, whoa, okay. Roller coaster.
But very different feel I felt that gave it.
Yeah, completely. Anyway. It was very nice. And then he was in the grass, in this kind of grass border, it seemed, with things like miscanthus.
That's it.
And some
They're
other
getting
grasses.
a haircut, aren't they?
Yeah, they're getting a haircut because it needs to be done at this time. He said, obviously, with those which are evergreen, you don't want to cut those. Just kind of run your hands through them, take out the dead bits, which I do. And I was happy that he mentioned it. You can be very careful. Wear gloves when you're doing it, because some of the grass blades are razor sharp, and you get a nasty paper cut. And paper cuts are like the worst.
Oh, they're the worst cuts of all the cuts. Oh my gosh,
any gangster who's had a paper cut is going to cry.
And then he talks about how you can clear them away onto the compost, or you can chop and drop. We like the chop and drop technique, don't we? Then we get to see Adam's brand new garden.
Oh, this
is somewhere
fun.
On the east side of the country, and it's a 20 metre by 50 metre plot that he has.
Yes, quite long.
Yeah, and a river. There's a river sort of off to one side or at the end, isn't there?
Yeah, and then a field on the other side.
It's a very countryside-y, which seems really nice. There's a very different vibe to the last garden that he had, which feels like that was possibly a little bit of a pit stop, a necessary pit stop between his previous garden and now this one. And he looked full of the joys of spring, didn't he? With his new garden. He looked like the cat that got the cream.
Yep, exactly. But I think anyone is when you're starting off a new garden and you've just got all this space and you're just... Yeah, you've got it all mapped out on your little plan, or as we did, we had nothing, pretty much.
Well, no, we had a plan. Do you not remember?
We did have a
that
small plan.
We might have impossible deviated. We deviated big time. Yeah. Anyway,
but I think one can do that.
He's got various spaces. There's a family garden. There's going to be a lawn area for the dogs to skedaddle around. Exactly. And halfway down the garden path, he's going to have a seating area to enjoy the sunset.
I like
How
that.
lovely is that? And he sort of pointed out over the fields. So he'll have a fairly unadulterated sunset, I think, there. And then there's a 2-foot drop to another section, which used to get flooded as a river.
It did.
I think he's sort of resolving that, isn't he, with the terracing?
Yeah, which was great. And he said how he was going to have a kind of fruits and herbs area. So something for the kitchen. Oh, and also there were the hornbeams that he planted down the side because needed a bit of privacy. Because I did realise it was quite open at
Very
first.
open, wasn't it?
Very. It almost looked like it went immediately onto a kind of farmer's field next door or something.
Which is fine if that's just a farmer's field and there's no sort of public pathway that way.
Yeah.
Of course there could be. Just people peering in going, oh, look, it's Adam's garden.
Can you imagine he's just sitting there with a cup of tea and people just like,
minding his own business. Oh, God. That would be so annoying, wouldn't it?
That would be so annoying.
I loved it when he said, they say the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, which is so true, isn't it?
I know, and I just was like, what?
So we see him digging a hole. He's got lots of stones to dig out, and he says the important thing is to dig a square hole. It stops the roots from going round and round and round if you dig a round hole.
Yeah. When they hit a hard edge, they're like, oh, we better go out.
And then he said there's debate over whether you should put compost in the hole, because if you make it too much of a happy area for the tree, then the roots just won't go off searching. So but then he did go and put some in the bottom of the hole.
Put a little bit, but not as much as some people do, where they kind of really chuck a whole load in.
And he was planting a multi-stem hazelnut that came in a Hessian bag.
Yes.
And he said that will just decompose, so you can just plop it in with the bag.
Great. Yeah.
And he also planted a ginkgo. That's been a recent statement tree for one of our Chit-Chat guests.
I'm very happy about a ginkgo because I would love to have a ginkgo in our garden. I think they're absolutely stunning.
They are. I'd love one. I'd absolutely love one. In fact, we should put in another order of bare roots for next February.
Ooh.
Let's get some ginkgos in, shall we?
Oh, that would be great.
And then at the end, he's standing by the river at the end of his garden, and he says he reckons that it's the most exciting garden he's ever created. And like I said earlier, it just seemed like he looked really content, didn't he?
He did.
It didn't look like this was a garden out of necessity. This was just a garden to really enjoy, really grow with. It just seemed like a very happy time there.
Yeah, it did. He looked very just kind of peaceful with it all.
Yeah.
Then we're back with Monty again, and he is in another bed and he's properly weeding, because that's a very important part, unfortunately, at this time of year. And there are things like couch grass and nettles, which are kind of unfortunate. He says he does leave the nettles around the edge, which we do as well, because they're great for pollinators and all sorts, anything that wants to be nesting in there.
And he says the important thing is to burn, don't compost.
Oh, yes.
Something
important.
I could learn.
Yes, exactly. And with the nettles, you can compost the top bit, but don't compost the roots.
Yeah.
And then finally, he is putting a nice thick layer of pine bark mulch, I think it was. And he says give it a good 2 inches thick, because then no light's getting in it and it's keeping all the moisture in the ground.
Yeah. He says don't mulch half-heartedly, which I'm completely guilty of. I wonder where he gets his pine bark from.
I know, because those were 2 really nice big buckets of it.
Yeah. They looked. That's the thing. Gosh, I'd love to get a good plentiful supply of bark.
Like a mountain of it.
Mountain. But then we go to Bob and Rannveig Wallis in Carmarthenshire.
Yes, we do. And this is all about alpines. Very, very pretty.
And they say how Rannveig got into alpines when they had a small garden and their collection's just grown and grown. And since the 80s, they've been travelling all over the world looking at bulbs in the wild. It sounds like they had an amazing life, doesn't it, so far?
It does. And also, I thought it was quite a coincidence, since you've been talking to me constantly about going plant hunting up in mountains.
Yes,
trying to find alpines. That. We are.
When your exams are finished, I'm taking you off into some mountains. And we're going to take Hobbs as well, and we're going to look for some alpines up there.
We sure are. I mean,
after
it will
the
be quite
snow's
fun.
Gone, I think.
Yeah.
When does snow go? Kind of March, April. Anyway, we'll figure it out.
Late March.
But Bob talks about how they've seen rare species growing on mountain hillsides in Iran, Uzbekistan. I mean, they've been about, haven't they?
They've had a life.
They've got 6 greenhouses, 2 polytunnels, and those are all packed to the rafters.
They are.
And on this particular episode, they're prepping for a show.
They are, yes.
So I know you haven't had time really to write any plants down. Did you catch any of the plants that
I
Bob
did
and
catch
Rannveig
some because I thought they were very, very pretty. So there was the false Iberian cyclamen. That was gorgeous. Then there was the lesser glory of snow. I got down the kind of simple names.
Yes, easier.
And then the Narcissus Angel's Tears as well was really gorgeous. That was kind of slightly taller than the others and very cute little flowers.
That was when Bob scooted off to another greenhouse to get it, wasn't it? And
yeah, he was
Rannveig says, hurry up then.
I know. They were really, really sweet together.
Yeah. They also show a beautiful Scilla sardensis, which Bob says is very easy to grow. There was some, did you see the Iris syndipus?
Oh.
They were a hybrid between 2 Turkish species.
Yes, really cute. One really tall, one really short. And so you've got this little miniature thing coming up.
And they say you've got to be really careful when watering them. You do it in the pot, not in the plant, otherwise it rots.
Yeah.
And then there was the Corydalis see, this is the problem because you're good with the names. The Maricandica?
Maricandica, I think it was.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah, that sounds better when you say it. That's the yellow and purple one.
Yes.
And then we see Bob and Rannveig heading off to the show.
Car speeds off at high speeds.
Yeah. It's quite a different vibe to this bit, wasn't there? I don't think we've seen people sort of getting ready for a show and scooting off in the car. Anyway, an exhibitor there is showing her Hepatica nobilis. And
oh my gosh, I absolutely loved this. And she was like, I'm so happy I have this because it only just flowered. I mean, can you imagine the excitement?
And again, we talked about Hepaticas on Chris Howell's episode of Chit-Chats because he is a gardener at John Massey's place. And John Massey has a huge collection of Hepaticas and has written a book, My World of Hepaticas. And we just finished that episode with Chris. So this was very close to our hearts hearing about her.
It was actually. And it was good because I didn't quite know exactly what a Hepatica was. I had heard of it, but I didn't know what it looked like. And when I saw this, I thought it was such a gorgeous plant. It was so delicate. And I loved this one because it was such a bluey purple colour.
They are very, very, very pretty, aren't they?
Like moonlight.
And then another exhibitor was showing his gymnospermiums, a lion's turnip.
Yes,
was
I
the
got
easy
that
name for that. And of course, Bob and Rannveig won a first for all of their Corydalis.
Yeah, that was great.
And at the very end, they mentioned how they've been doing shows since 1972 when they were students. And Rannveig says at the end, and we're still going strong, which clearly they are, aren't they? It doesn't look like they have any plans to stop.
No.
Well, Bob and Rannveig give a lot of talks through the Alpine Garden Society, which has loads of events on through March and April and onwards.
Imagine prime time.
Put a link to that on our website, but also they're organising a 14-night minibus tour to see the bulbs of southwest Turkey, starting in Antalya on the 26th of March, and it finishes in Izmir on the 8th of April. They promise there'll be spectacular scenery, as you can imagine, and a species-rich trip of both Mediterranean and mountain flora. And they say this timing of it should mean that they will be able to see 15 different fritillaries, 3 cyclamen, 2 galanthus, which was very interesting to have snowdrops at that time of year, several crocus, and a lot of other genera like anemones, orchids and scilla.
Oh, I love anemones. They're gorgeous. I can imagine.
So if you are interested in that trip, which does sound pretty awesome, doesn't it? There's, again, we have a link for it. So head over to our website and click on the link there to find all the details.
We're back with Monty again, and we see some beautiful hellebores, snowdrops, tete-a-tetes.
Yes.
And also the imperial fritillaries are growing as well.
Yeah.
They're coming out, looking very, very nice. And then we go over to the other area where he is putting in some soft fruit bushes. So he's already put in the autumn raspberries, and then he's putting in with some really thick posts. They're very nice posts. And nice tension wire. He's putting in some summer fruiting raspberries.
Yes.
But unfortunately, those won't kind of produce anything this year because they fruit on previous year's growth. So he has to wait.
That's it. Yeah. So it won't be till 2027. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you need patience, don't you, in gardening?
You do. planning ahead.
And he put in a couple of varieties. He had a bare root Glen Ample that will crop at the end of June till early August. Yeah. And then he had a potted Malling Admiral going in too. He said, of course, as we know, the bare roots to go in ASAP. But it was interesting how he doesn't plant in the ground, but he plants it on the ground and then brings the soil up around them.
Yeah.
Then he uses those tensioned wires to support them whilst their roots find their way down.
Oh, you're going to need that.
You are going to need that. They're just going to perch on top.
Can you imagine they're just going to flop over at some point?
I've never seen that before.
No.
There's a lot I haven't seen before. So
yeah.
In life,
same here.
In general.
Same here.
Same here, Sweetpea. Then we're with Arit at Kew. I would love to do this kind of thing. So
behind the curtain.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So she went through some doors that none of us hoi polloi can go through. A secret tropical nursery. 10,000 plant species in there, many rare, threatened, or of vital conservation concern. And Arit's learning about some of these critically endangered plants. They have all these climatic zones, and they're split into 4 zones: orchids, temperate, moist tropics, and arids. And first stop, Arit meets with Carlos Magdalena, botanical horticulturalist, and he's known for his success at bringing plants back from brink of extinction.
He is like the plant whisperer, as she said.
Well, yes. We'll hear a bit more about him later on. He shows the smallest water lily in the world, which almost went extinct about 10 years ago. Yeah. The habitat where it grows was smaller than the tank that they were in at Kew, and there were only 4 plants left in Kew. And he said trying to grow the seedlings to maturity was almost impossible, so he found a way of cultivating them from seed. And he said all you have to do is grow them very, very shallow. That's all, Sweetpea. That's all you got to do.
Oh, easy peasy. Squeezy.
And he helped save a plant called Café Marron.
Yes.
Which was thought to be extinct until a single tree was spotted by a schoolboy in 1979 on its native island of Rodriguez in Mauritius.
Can you imagine being that schoolboy going, wow, I just saved this plant from extinction?
Yes, pretty incredible. Cool. And a cutting was flown over to Kew, and it took over 40 years before a seed was produced. Unbelievable, isn't it? Globally, one of the most threatened plant groups are arids, apparently.
I know, that was a surprise.
And we meet Paul Rees, and he's the tropical nursery manager, and he's on a mission to save them. He said the challenges they're facing it seems to be largely due to climate change causing issues, because you think, they can handle the extremes, but they're already living at the extremes already. So, an increase in those extremes is just pushing them too far. Yeah. And some are very rare. They only exist on one slope in one region.
I know.
And if there's a change in the land use, then obviously it threatens that species. Yeah. And of course, humans play a big part, don't they? Because there's a lot of poaching that goes on.
I know, when they find a plant they like, they just go for it.
A little bit of selfishness involved, I think. Then there's this conophytum, and Paul explains about conophytum succulents. They're endemic in the northwest of South Africa into Namibia. Yeah. Otherwise, they exist nowhere else naturally. And I loved this. They look like they're dead, which benefits at certain points of the year. They look like they're dead when the desert tortoise is coming out of hibernation and is looking for moisture. And so they obviously see these plants that look dead and they go, well, I'll leave that. And they go eat something that looks a bit more succulent.
It's really sweet. Can you imagine the tortoise is just like, I could have swore you guys were alive a minute ago.
Yeah. And then there was a sad statistic at the end about the sort of overexploitation, mainly through poaching, and how it's caused them to go critically endangered, if not extinct. It's estimated about 1.9 million plants have been stolen since 2020. Which is very upsetting, isn't it?
It is sad. Come on, people, can't you steal something else?
What interests me about that is that date sticks in my head, because when we've talked about AI being used for protection of rhinos, and how 2020 was the first year that there was zero poaching of rhinos, thanks to these AI cameras that they were using, and night cameras and that sort of thing. And so, we're, as a species, us humans are doing a lot for animals. And I think if there could be the same emphasis on the plants as well.
Yeah.
That we put as much intention into preserving and saving from extinction with plants as we do with animals. Because you wouldn't go and, I wouldn't go and shoot a rhino if I knew there were only 3 left in the wild. Well, I just wouldn't go shoot a rhino, obviously, but
no,
there were only 3. Perhaps that's a really bad analogy, but I'm not shooting any animals.
No,
you know where I'm going with this.
we get it. We understand.
You get it. Thanks, Sweetpea.
No worries. But yeah, it's very. I think plants are just as important to understand, not
and protect.
Letting them get to endangered classification and extinction as well.
Yeah. And so Q plays a big part in this. Its goal is to ensure that they have backup collections. And the final word from Paul was that he recommends people ensure that they buy from reputable places. And of course,
that is important
with everything from moss to conophytums.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very, very important. It's funny because I had no idea about having to buy from a reputable place when I started gardening and stuff. It was not on my radar. I did not think that was even a thing.
Right.
I thought drugs you need to get from a reputable place, not plants.
Wait,
like, come on now.
So you're getting your drugs from a reputable place?
Very reputable.
Okay, good. But I think that's also because we buy plants from reputable places. We haven't ever tried to do anything clever, so we're not trying to get specific species. We basically go to the garden centre. If they have something, we get them. I think it's more when you're looking for something unusual, so you might, for example, you hear a lot of people, I think Chris Howell on his Chit-Chat again was talking about getting seeds for Wollamy pines from eBay, for example.
Yes.
So when you go to eBay, you don't know what you're getting necessarily, and you want to make sure it's a trusted outlet using eBay. So I think that's more where you need to be checking. But if you're going to the garden centre, you're
that's
pretty
fine.
Safe, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Well, let me tell you a bit more about Carlos and Paul. Carlos Magdalena calls himself the Plant Messiah on Facebook.
Oh, nice name.
And a slightly more humble Carlos Magdalena.q is his name on Instagram. I'll put links to his Instagram, Facebook, and also to his website. He's not actually self-named the Plant Messiah. It's rather interesting where he got that name from. I'll just read a little excerpt from his website. I was labeled El Messias de las Plantas, the Plant Messiah, by Pablo Dunon, a journalist who wrote about my work in the Spanish newspaper La Nueva España. I suspect the name was partly inspired by my post-biblical, though pre-hipster, beard and long hair, and also because I was spending a lot of my time trying to save plants on the brink of extinction. None other than Sir David Attenborough then mentioned it in an interview, and the name has stuck. So I think if David Attenborough is calling you the Plant Messiah, you would hold on to that name, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you were to shake a celebrity's hand, you do not wash that hand.
No, absolutely. Well, he has a book called The Plant Messiah, and it sounds like a really, really interesting book. Again, I'll be linking this. This might have to go onto our very early our Easter present list. I was going to say Christmas, but we're months away from Christmas. I'm putting this on my belated Mother's, because we haven't celebrated Mother's Day yet because we haven't revision
exams, but
we are going to the the last weekend of March. So
yes,
I'm going to pop this on my Mother's Day list.
Oh, okay.
In The Plant Messiah, Magdalena takes readers from the Amazon to the jungles of Mauritius to deep within the Australian outback in search of the rare and the vulnerable. Back in the lab, we watch as he develops groundbreaking left-field techniques for rescuing species from extinction, encouraging them to propagate and thrive once again.
Very
I think
cool.
That sounds interesting.
Sounds great.
Like incredible book. Then also Paul Rees, he has a book. And his book is called Growing Cacti and Succulents. Again, I shall link it. And he can also be found on Instagram and Facebook. And he's called Just Botanical on both of those platforms.
Fabbers. Back with Monty again. And he is at his table full of all the beautiful spring bulbs. He does that incredible display.
Beautiful.
It's very thick with flowers, isn't it?
Yeah. And colours. He's got the daffs, he's got hyacinths, irises, that beautiful orange crocus. I love that orange crocus.
We have that, but we've got
but
like
not
1 pack of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so
His
tiny.
are just tightly packed into a pot. Ours is just in the middle of a whole load of grass.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Anyway, he gets out his box of dahlias. They've been stored all winter in a dark place and in newspaper. That's what works best for him. And he's looking at the Rosse Reveller, which is a raspberry ripple type
very
dahlia.
Pretty. Yeah.
And he's doing the usual thing of checking tubers for rot, if they're too dry, slugs, that kind of thing. Then he says there's 3 things you can do. First of all, you can put them back in the box.
Nice, I'm doing that. That seems like the easiest one.
I like that. Second one is you can pot them up and grow them on in a frost-free place with light. That gives them a month's head start. That's what we did the first year.
We did. Worked quite well.
Then the third option is you pot them up, but specifically to produce cuttings.
Which is also quite fun.
Yeah, so that's what he does here. So he gets an old pot. You want drainage, so you pop in your perlite or your grit. You whack them in deep, but not burying them completely. You want to keep the tops sticking out. They need heat, water, light, so a windowsill above a radiator, a heated greenhouse, or he says ideally a heat mat in a greenhouse. And then he said your cuttings should be ready in about sort of 3 to 4 weeks when they're about 2 to 6 inches long.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And then we go to a garden near Maidstone in Kent of Cathy Smythe, Gary Cattermole, Bowie, Dota, Mel and Mojo. And this is an absolutely, well, first of all, a fantastic segment. This couldn't be more up my street. We're talking dogs and gardens.
We are.
I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
And this garden is, as they said, they sort of created an exotic paradise for their dogs.
Exactly.
And it was like being, well, interestingly, online they call themselves the Small Deves.
I loved that. That was such a good name.
And it was like being in the Maldives, wasn't it? There was sand everywhere and all these very tropical type plants. Did you get any of the names, Sweetpea, of the plants?
Well, I did get 2. The Formium was looking very... That was one of the first plants, actually, and that looks just really tropical and can get battered by dogs or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, cannonballing into it.
She calls it, Cathy calls it Wavy Davy.
Yeah, Wavy Davy. And there was also a Washington palm as well.
Oh, yes, called Washingtonia.
Yes.
That's another one that Cathy hugs. So at the beginning, Cathy hugs the Trachycarpus. She gives it a bit of a squeeze. And then after the Formium, she also shows that incredible cordyline.
Oh my gosh, that was incredible. And what was it called again?
Tina Turner. It's a Torbay Dazzler, and she calls it Tina Turner. But that was incredible. She said when they got it, it was in the footwell of the car, and now this thing was way up in the sky, wasn't it? It was brilliant.
Yeah, these kind of palmy plants, they do that. We had one where when we first moved here, it was so tiny. It was really kind of my height when I was younger, so 1.60 m or something. And now it's huge, and that's only been a few years. It's not.
Yeah. I mean,
gigantic.
that is generally plants, isn't it?
Yeah, but specifically these palmy ones with the kind of date varieties and the not the banana ones, but
they do go for it, don't they?
The palms.
Well, some of the other plants that they mention, there's the hairy trunk of a Trachycarpus fortunei.
Yes.
And then Cathy wedges the bromeliad air plants or succulents
I think that's fabulous.
into the trunks. I really like that.
I'm going to be doing that because, as she said, it adds that little extra thing that you can kind of look more sparkle underneath.
Yeah. Then there was the Trachycarpus wagnerianus.
Yes.
Which Cathy was giving a good bashing to show it's good for windy areas. She's really belting that one.
The poor thing was like, oh my gosh. And she was like, so dogs, it's absolutely fine around dogs.
Yes. Oh. And also Cathy talks about the Trachycarpus fortunei, which she explains is a girl because it has seeds. And once they've matured, she then gets seedlings at the base. And she said that one's a cross between the fortunei and the wagnerianus.
Yeah. And the seedlings as well are really pretty tough.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be super careful with them if you've got dogs running
And
around.
the 4 dogs. But it was interesting that they said the garden was originally a car park and had a lot of hardcore. So each time they put a plant in, Gary has to get out the groundbreaker. Cathy said it's going to be fizzy hands, and you can just imagine that from the
I know
digging
exactly
up
that
the ground.
feeling.
Then they plop the plant in, and I think they also talked about how they brought in 10 or 11 tons of sand as well.
Yes,
for the whole
which
garden.
the dogs absolutely love. Kind of, it's like a sand pit for the dogs. I think that's
it's like a beach, isn't it?
Exactly. I know Hobbs would love that.
And Cathy and Gary talk a little bit about their dogs, and they say that in 2017 they applied to adopt a setter, and that's how Bowie came into their lives. Then Dota came along, who's ball of energy, and then there was Melly, and I think Mel was the spaniel, and then Mojo came along, who was another setter, and they're all rescue doggies.
They are.
And then Cathy gets quite emotional at the end when she thinks about the garden, because it's come such a long way, but it was designed for those gorgeous dogs who've also come a long way too, and
exactly
they feel just very, very lucky. And I got very emotional with Cathy because I totally understood it, but I read a bit more about how they came about those dogs. Gary has a company called Minuscule Pottery, and he mentioned how he wasn't very good with plant names. Cathy's good with the plant names, he's not so much. I thought that's exactly like you and me. You're great with them, me not so much. But his Minuscule Pottery is all about words. He makes these bowls and engraves, he calls them lyric bowls. He will engrave the lyrics of your song, your chosen song. It goes all the way around the outside down to sort of the centre.
That sounds fun.
You can get 3 different sizes, and I thought they'd be right up your street.
Oh my gosh.
But on his website, he then talks about the dogs a bit more, and he said they used to have 2 setters, and then when one of them died, the other was bereft, so they looked for a buddy for Spider, and they decided to go rescue rather than having a puppy, and they ended up finding a rescue place in Croatia run by an amazing woman called Sasha Gabor. And Gary has a photo of Bowie on his website when they first got him, and he describes him as a wonky-faced working setter. And on day 1, Bowie looks void of any feelings, any trust, any emotion, just looks dead inside. And oh my gosh, beautiful dog. And then there's a photo next to it of him a year later, and he's just all perky and sprightly and full of life. And they rescued 3 more from Sasha, Dota, Mel and Mojo. Gary goes on to say how they were ex-hunt dogs in Croatia, and so they were really badly treated. If they're no good for hunting or they've served their purpose, then they either kill, get rid, dump, beat up. And of course, Hobbs, it got me thinking, because of course Hobbs is from, and he says how it's often the way across Europe with the hunt dogs. They're just really badly treated. They're just seen as this tool.
A device almost.
Yeah. And Hobbs was the same. She was an ex-hunt dog. She just wasn't very good at hunting.
She was so bad. She was scared of them.
Yeah, she was from France, and she was beaten up and all sorts. And so I could really understand where they're coming from about the joy of rescuing dogs and then seeing them just in such good form afterwards. But on his website, he does also do dog treat bowls, and basically the proceeds from the dog bowls go towards the charity in Croatia.
That's nice.
Go towards Sasha or Sasia, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. And you can make a donation through his website as well. So if you are interested at all in making donations towards that amazing charity for those dogs, then you'll find a link on our website.
Great.
But just one other thing regarding that sand. Somebody asked Cathy and Gary a very, very sensible question. 2 sensible questions. 1, does it get everywhere, the sand? And 2, do cats use it for their business? And the answer is, number 1, yes, but they have wooden floors downstairs, so it's easy to sweep up. And 2, no, because they have 4 dogs.
Of course. That's another fair point.
And there we have it. We're back with Monty. He's cutting back his late flowering Group 3 clematis. You leave 2 buds. And he's replacing his hazel supports that have been in for 3 or 4 years already.
Exactly. Quite brittle.
And once again, he iterates the fact that clematis don't like to be dry, so if planting add compost and organic matter to hold water, it means we will never have any chance with clematis, I don't think.
Impossible.
And then we're to jobs for the weekend.
Yeah.
Sow tender annuals, lift and divide snowdrops, and chit your potatoes.
Oh, I would like to have potatoes this year, so I need to get on with chitting.
You need to get on with it then.
Sure do. Wait for the exam and then I can chip potatoes.
Get chitting. So, Sweetpea, your favourite plant from this episode?
It was the Hepatica nobilis. I really loved that kind of starry blue. It was just so gorgeous. It was kind of almost opal-like. I just loved it.
You know, hepaticas are the flower that we saw by the riverbank, and we were wondering what they were.
Are those hepaticas?
Those are all hepaticas.
Oh my gosh! I've just had a revelation.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, great. Well, I absolutely love them. What was your favourite plant?
My favourite plant were the orange crocuses on Monty's table.
Yes.
They look delightful, don't they?
They are stunning.
And what's your top takeaway from this episode?
Create a sand pit for dogs.
Oh, yes.
I really, really liked that. Or just kind of having a kind of beachy bit for them to properly roll around in. It's better than mud. It makes
you think when you're having garden rooms, doesn't it? No one's ever had various garden rooms and then one is just
for the
a
dogs.
Sandy tropical island place.
Yeah.
Room.
Can you imagine if Hobbs had like a little moat and she'd have to go across to her little island?
If we weren't on a hill, we could have sand, but we're on a hill, so it'll all just get washed down to the bottom.
It would be bad.
Bad news.
Bad news.
Well,
and yours?
My top takeaway, which I have tried and tested and I can highly recommend, it's make like a kind of item and look half dead. That way you just get left well alone. It's been working wonders for me, Sweetpea, so try it sometime.
Is that what you've been doing?
Right.
Just half dead?
Next week we have a Gardener's World, so 20th of March. This is episode 2, and here's what's coming up. Spring is in full stride at Longmeadow, and Monty gets straight to work, bringing new borders to life, reviving winter-worn houseplants, and priming his pelargoniums for a standout summer. Jo Swift enjoys rare access to the private garden of renowned designer Mary Keane, discovering why it remains her most treasured space. At RHS Garden Rosemore, Carol Klein reveals how fruit and veg can deliver both flavour and flair, no matter the size of your plot. In Kent, there's a grower showcasing favourites from his astonishing collection of over 1,200 apple cultivars. And in Cornwall, one man shares his passion for the camellia and his back garden packed full of them.
Great.
Well, that episode we'll be looking at between your 2 days of exams, so you may just have to nod in agreement with everything I say.
Most likely we'll be doing that.
It would have been bug-eyed and slightly startled, I think, when we speak next week.
I think so.
But if you do want to get in touch with us about anything we've talked about on this episode, please do so. There's our contacts page on our website, which is
notjustagarden.co.uk,
or you can email us at
notjustagarden@outlook.com.
Yes. And in terms of the website, we've done a bit of an update since the last series of Gardener's World. So if you head over there, notjustagarden.co.uk and have a look at, it's mainly the Chit-Chats that we've updated. So click on the Chit-Chats section, click on the face of the person you want to hear, and then you'll find a page dedicated to them with lots of links and lots of photos of things that we've talked about on the episode. So you get a bit more of a visual aid when listening to the audio podcast.
Nice visuals.
Yeah. And
you want in gardening.
Yeah, exactly. And the same with the recaps. We've got some visuals in there as well. And of course, all the links to the various people and places that we've talked about in this episode.
Exactly.
Well, Sweetpea, I'm not going to hold on to you any longer. You've got more revision to do. So I shall say goodbye to you now. And we will see you next week.
We sure will. Thank you for listening.
Bye-bye, Sweetpea.
Bye, Mummy Bear.